everybody. My name is Cynthia Gallardo, your favorite legacy lady with Legacy and Me podcast. Thank you so much for joining today. I am so excited to have one of my great friends, Yolanda Barnes, with us today with Yolanda Barnes Art. And she's here to talk about legacy because we all have a legacy. We all have a story to tell. And that's what this podcast is about. So without further ado, I'd like to formally introduce my great friend and wonderful artist, very creative, Yolanda Barnes with Yolanda Barnes Art. So Yolanda, I'll hand it over to you. And if you just want to share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go right into the next steps here, okay?
Wow. Well, thank you, Cindy, for having me. Well, just a little bit about myself. I started as an artist as a late bloomer after my corporate life. That's where you and I met. Yes. Actually, someone left in my neighborhood left some art supplies in a garbage can on the curb. Wow. And I was looking at them. I thought, well, why would someone leave? Why would someone leave all this great stuff in a garbage can? And I was ashamed to get it during the daytime. And I waited and I came back that night and I picked up this little white garbage can. And there were a full thing of brushes and palette and all this stuff. And I thought, maybe, I always wanted to paint. I could draw a little bit. And I went to Michael's. I was ashamed, went and kind of, sneaking into the aisles, got my art supplies, and I painted my first picture of myself on the beach. Very crude. It's still in my office now.
Wow.
And then a few years later, as I went through a divorce and had some losses and a lot of changes, that art became my go-to to resolve my depression and anxiety. And it just began to blossom into this other part of me, which I never knew existed. So it's just another part of my growth, I would say.
Wow, that's an amazing story, Yolanda, and thank you for sharing it with us and that, being vulnerable with that, right? Because obviously with your art, it's almost like a therapy, right, for you. So thank you for sharing that. And I've seen some of your work on what you post, and it's amazing, amazing. In fact, we'll definitely have to talk about getting something for my office as well. So I love what you do. I love your creativity. And it's amazing how you said that you're a late bloomer, right? Because a lot of people think, oh, you have to do things in a certain order, but it's not necessarily like that. You do things as they come in your path, whatever path you may have. And you mentioned something really, really cool that you and I met in corporate America. That's right, we did. And I always cherish those moments with corporate life that we had.
Oh my goodness.
So many things that we learned. What is something you learned in corporate America that you use today?
Oh, good. Oh, wow. The one thing I would say the one thing that I've learned that I can see even now, even I kind of have a second career where I do customer service. However, I learned about perseverance, how to work under pressure. An 8-hour day is a short day.
Oh, yes.
That's not even a day. An 8-hour day, what's that? So I learned about perseverance, work ethic, results, being goal-oriented, and motivation. At the time, it wasn't pleasant. There were so many goals to meet and so many strategies to learn. But I tell you, now I observe that not everyone has those coping mechanisms. Not everyone possesses that. And so I honor that. I'm very grateful for those experiences. So I would say all of the above, perseverance and really learning how to be, like you said, consistent, because that's how you're successful.
Very good, Yolanda, and I would definitely agree with you in all those aspects because I was also able to take back some of those things and utilize them in what I do now. And everything you just defined for those listening is entrepreneurship as well. So all the corporate skills that you learned, you can utilize them now in your entrepreneurial role, right? Your journey, which is amazing because entrepreneurship is like a roller coaster. You have ups and you have downs, as I'm sure you know. Yes. So you've experienced that as well in your journey.
Yes, and I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. Before I did the corporate journey, I raised my children. I wanted to be in their lives and not necessarily be out in the workforce. So I used to have my own business, and I had to be creative to do that. I did everything, decorated cakes. I used to sew for people, but I've always felt like an entrepreneur at heart, and I don't see where that will ever be separate for me, as far as being a self-starter and having something of my own.
Wow. Well, I've always known you to be a self-starter, yet I didn't know all those other entrepreneurial things that you did. That's pretty amazing. I've
Yeah.
always known you to be a very Wonder Woman out there, superwoman. I can definitely see that. And I saw it in corporate America and I see it now,
Yeah.
Yolanda. So that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing those things. And as we know, today's podcast is about legacy and me, because everything I do is based on legacy, because we all have a story. We all have something we want to be able to, live now, right? Live a lasting legacy now, but also share it with others and make a positive impact. So today you shared with us a little bit about your legacy, and that's what we want to learn more about as well. But as far as the definition of legacy for you, how would you personally define legacy?
I gave that some thought. I think it's a wonderful question, because I recently lost my dad, and that is, I lost him last year. And that is like one of the words that I define with him is his legacy. I actually made some notes. And for me, I actually said that your legacy is what I consider as a body of work that is memorable, but that is also something that you can emulate, that can be emulated by others.
That's right.
And so it's something that's lasting, but the purpose of it is not just to say, oh, I remember her, I remember what he did. Oh, they named a street after him. You can actually, it's something that's passed down to others that can be emulated to actually strengthen the next generation and so on. It's something that continues. So that is my definition of what a legacy is.
Well, I love that, Yolanda. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I've never put it together with the word emulate, but I love that, how you do that, right? Because it is something that you want others to emulate as well. And first of all, sorry about the loss of your dad. I know that had to be very difficult, yet he is, first of all, a legacy, right? Because he's left many lessons learned from him that you can share with others as well. And I know your dad made a positive impact, because I remember our stories we used to talk about, and he definitely made an impact on you, your family, and the community. So that's a great thing. That's definitely a legacy right there, Yolanda. So that's a great definition. Yes, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. The cool thing about this too is that today's discussion, I'm going to have it transcribed, so others who want to go back and know what that definition is based on Yolanda Barnes, the artist, it will be transcribed for them as well. Okay, it'll be transcribed. So one thing I want to really highlight with that is that legacy is not just about material assets, right? As you mentioned, it's also lessons learned. And that's the biggest thing out there, lessons learned that we want to leave others with a positive impact. So thank you once again for sharing that, Yolanda. So when you talk about legacy, it's about the past, the present, and the future. You shared with us a little bit about your past, how you got to this point, which was so interesting. You finding trash, right? Somebody's trash was your treasure. Another man's trash, another person's treasure. So that kind of was a catalyst for you to open up and get these creative ideas flowing. And now you're utilizing that today. So can you share with us a little bit more about the present part of your legacy? What are you doing now with this, the artistic work that you're doing?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I've been focusing on, I kind of did a transition a few years ago where I'm in a community that is very artsy. It's the perfect place to be an artist. I'm so grateful for that. But I also realized I needed to set myself apart. And so this is a great takeaway. It's something how everything that you experience, there are tidbits in those experiences that if you really pay attention, you can take them and bring them with you. And one of the things that I remember from corporate life was branding. And I just remember that there was a whole department assigned to branding. And oh my goodness, you had better not fold, spindle, or mutilate. That's what's on all of our money. Right. You had better not mishandle that brand in any way. And so branding has been like the biggest thing for me, even from the physical logo to what that embodies. And so now I've just been focused on, so I'm an artist. I've always been kind of a loner, and I'm not really a person that follows with the group, right? So I always hear this voice. So I find myself in a group of artists, but not really wanting to be like everyone. And so the only thing that's going to set me apart is my brand. And so currently, that is what I've been focused on intentionally, is what does my brand look like? What does it represent? What does it mean? What is the purpose of it? And how I can develop that brand to mean something positive, to give people a good feeling when they connect with that brand. So that's mainly my big overall focus, is my brand, how to develop it, and how to get it out there actually to the world and to make my mark. That's really what I'm focused on right now.
Well, that's fantastic, Yolanda. I love that. And I also like how you highlighted that from our past, right? Our legacy that we've created up to this point, based on corporate America. And it's so true. There was a whole branding department. And so now you have this whole branding department for your entrepreneurial role, your entrepreneurship as well. So that's good that you brought that up. So for those people listening, those legacy launchers listening, I want you to know, and Yolanda wants you to know, that branding is so, so important. So with that being said, Yolanda, with your brand, what would you say in a nutshell would be your mission? What's your mission based on the brand that you're creating?
Well, my mission overall is to touch people, to help them to experience a part of themselves that they may not have experienced before. So what I mean by that, I believe that everyone is an artist, and I do art classes, and we have groups, and I watch people that sit down with just these blank stares on their faces turn into these, all of a sudden these colors begin to go on the canvas, and all of a sudden a part of them comes out that wasn't there. So part of what I want my brand is, I want to teach people how to tap into their creative selves, and I want them to tap into this to a degree where it actually opens up other opportunities for them. My mission is to help other people to open up their creative selves so that they too can expand and find out what gifts and things that they may have lying dormant, that they can actually explore, because I think everyone is an artist. It's just that they may not know how or which way that they're an artist.
Wow. I love that, Yolanda. That is amazing. And first of all, because you've been there and done that, you've lived it, you've tapped into your creativity based on, like you said, a late bloomer with it, yet you were able to tap into it, open it up, and now you can help other individuals do the same. And look at how fulfilling it's made you, right? I mean, as far as, let's share with us a little bit about that, how that's been able to change who you are and being a more positive person. You've always been positive, but how it's been able to change you now.
I would say, well, this is what I like. I noticed that when you think creatively, what it does is it expands. It's almost like going into a room and not seeing doors, and all of a sudden you begin to see opportunities that weren't there. That's the only way you can do that, is to tap into a creative part of yourself that is it's really kind of spiritual in my mind. That you go from, I don't have any opportunities, to, you know what, my opportunities are endless.
Wow.
I go from, I don't know what I'm going to do, to, you know what, I may not know what I'm going to do, but I know that I'm not going to be here next year. I know that. Yes. And so it changes your whole perspective on life, to know that you have a purpose. This life with a purpose. And so life with a purpose is where I can actually leave an impact, help others, and actually out of whatever I've been through, actually help someone else to overcome. So I hope I answered your question there.
Oh, you have definitely answered my question. Thank you. In fact, you're getting me so hyped up myself, Yolanda. That's fantastic. And how your goal is to really impact other individuals in a positive way based on your own experience, what you've gone through, and help other individuals. That is fantastic. I really, really appreciate that.
I want to say really quickly, there are two rules that I have whenever I do art groups. And I always say there's two things. One is never compare yourself to anyone else. And number two, do not say anything negative about yourself.
Very nice.
And during these sessions, those are the two greatest challenges. I can see people looking around at others. And then the minute they look, they go, oh, mine looks, I'm like, oh, that's you can't do that. And they can't say anything negative about themselves. And it becomes a challenge, because then they have to focus on nothing but good that's coming from them. And it actually begins to build this confidence in them that they didn't have before. And next thing you know, they're showing it to everyone, and they're not allowed to say anything negative about what they've created. Because I said it's subjective. There's nothing negative about what you create. So.
Wow, I love that. For so many reasons, I love that. First of all, that's really mindset in a nutshell, right? The mindset of what people can open up opportunities based on the way that they look at things or perspective. So I love that piece, Yolanda. And I wrote down here, don't compare yourself and no negative self-talk, right? So basically we can influence the way we see ourselves and bringing out that confidence in us with the help of somebody else, such as yourself, in the role that you play with those that you're teaching, you're coaching in your particular art class. And who would have thought an art class could bring out confidence, right? Normally you're thinking the opposite thing, but that's amazing. One day I'll have to go to one of your art classes. I would love that, my son and I, to go with you. So I appreciate the way you do that. And I'd love to see you in action with your art class one day. And we will make that happen. You know, you and I, we set goals and we make sure we achieve them. So one day I'm going to be over there to be able to see you. That's great. Thank you for sharing that, Yolanda. So we now know your past, your present, what you're doing now with that, with your legacy. So what are some of your future goals that you can share with us? Where do you see yourself next year, in 5 years, in 10 years?
Oh, goodness. I see myself on a greater platform. I see myself going from all of the stuff I say I'm in the lab a lot, creating things. But then once I get on this foundation, then from there, I want to launch out and teach other people how to teach other people, basically. Wow. Okay. And so in order to replicate myself, to be a greater influence, whether that be through books, through audio visual, through social media, social platforms have exploded. And as far as you needing the middleman to do that, all you need is the tenacity and some creativity. And basically you can get out there and help others. So as far as my future, outside of my branding, I want to be a greater influence for others. And I see myself really getting into the audiovisual aspects, more written things as far as books, written materials and that, so that, basically to expand my influence and to actually help others. Like I said, to actually help others.
Yes, that's amazing. That's in what we used to say in corporate America, right? Train the trainers, what you'll be doing in the
Yes, you got it.
Yeah, so that's really amazing. And of course, doing it in a written format with the book would be great, because as people always say, the new card today, the new business card as an entrepreneur is not a card itself, but it's a book. Being able to get that book out there, open up that door of opportunity for you as well. That's great. Yeah. And then I know, because I've seen you in action, I know you would do great on a stage as far as sharing that same idea and concept. So the great things, I know great things are coming for you. They're already here. And they're going to get even bigger in the future. And I'm so excited about that. And that's leaving that positive footprint or positive impact on other individuals, not just one. It'll be many people. So I know when we were working together, we talked a lot about the word synergy, right? Synergy is that whole is greater than the individual parts, one of my favorite words. And that's what this is about, is being able to create that synergy with others around us. So I love it, Yolanda, that you're doing that. And I've always seen you as a very creative person, but for you to utilize it the way you are now, that really touches my heart. So I definitely encourage you to continue forward. That's very amazing. And thank you for sharing that, your past, your present, and now your future goals, right? So we have it now visually, audio, and then also it'll be on paper in the transcript. So I know you're gonna make it happen. I know you'll make it happen.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this, Yolanda, to wrap this up. As far as what you shared with us today, what would you say are the top 3 gems that an entrepreneur can listen to today and take back and immediately implement into their lives, into their entrepreneurial life?
Yeah, there's 3 that I go by. There are others, but these are the 3 main ones. One is, I call it patience. The second one is pivot. Okay. And the third one is a spiritual aspect. I say prayer, and I'll elaborate as far as when I say prayer, I mean as far as connecting to your spiritual source and pulling on that. The first one, patience. If you don't have patience, then you're not cut out to be an entrepreneur.
So true. So true.
Just go back.
That's right.
And a quick example of that is I had a vendor today. She delivered some of my earrings. Like I these some earrings I designed, but she actually helped me design them.
Okay.
It's my art on an accessory. But I went through a process early this summer. I wanted to have my art on earrings. I went through a 4-month process of spending money and materials and gluing and trying to get it shiny. And I can't even tell you what I went through, trying to cut it out by hand. All of these things I saw the vision of what I wanted it to be. I saw the end goal, but the process from the start to the end, it was something else. I almost gave up. And then I was at a vendor, I was at a show, art thing here in town. And one of my friends, she has her earrings out there with her art on it. I said, where'd you get that? And she says, oh, I says, I need this person's information right away.
Right.
And so when I got to speaking with this person, she had exactly what it was that I needed, exactly what I needed originally. I was trying to create it, but this opportunity actually materialized to me. I don't think it would have materialized if I had not had the patience to say what it was that I wanted. I actually drew it. I wrote it out. I kept trying to, but until I got in my mind what it was that I wanted and did not stop. I didn't stop searching for this. Then it actually came to me as far as how to obtain this, how to get it at a reasonable price. And that, so patience is the first thing that we need.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, first, I want to tell you that's an amazing story. And that's what I love, when you can connect what you're teaching with a story, right? That's so important. And this is a story. We see the end result. And those are amazing earrings. I want some, and we'll have to talk. We'll have to talk about that.
I got you.
Oh, thank you. Well, those are amazing. And I'd love to see more of your artwork on jewelry pieces as well. So that's fantastic. Very nice. Okay, so that's good. The patience is the first one. And then what's the second one?
Pivot.
Okay.
This is extremely important. So in the Cliff Note version is I was married for 36 years, unexpectedly went through a divorce. Before that, everything in my mind was set. But now in hindsight, I say that I think my life was very perfunctory. It was very predictive. I got up, I went to work, I did this, I did that, did this for the holiday. Everything was planned out for me. And I was on autopilot, but I didn't realize that. And so all of a sudden I was faced with this dilemma. Yes. Okay. I'm single all of a sudden. Single? Who? I don't know how to be single.
Right.
And so the thing I had to do was I had to pivot. After I got done with all the boo-hoos, and I always say I had to put my hat on. I had to put my business hat on. Right. Okay. And start thinking business. Yeah, I had tons of emotional things to go through, but I had to think. And the one thing that I had to do was I had to pivot, which means to be flexible. So I came to this point, which meant that I needed to make an adjustment and go in a different direction. And when you have to do that, it does no good. You can, if you're going to have a tantrum, a meltdown, do whatever you need to do. But you're going to have to get up one day, right? And say, you're going to have to make a decision. And so for me, it was being able to pivot. Okay. So, and the reality was, and we went through I don't know if you remember, we used to call it the change wheel.
Yes, I do remember that. All these things coming back.
That change wheel helped me because I knew that I was in a process. Okay, the initial, I was shocked, but then I had to make a decision and I had to pivot, which meant that you may not know exactly what it's going to look like, but if you're still breathing and you're still able to get up in the morning, there's hope. And that means that now I need to turn and see and kind of examine, okay, that means I need to be able to go into this direction now. And so being able to pivot, it stops you from hitting a wall. If you hit the wall, then you back up and go, okay, be flexible and open enough to then, that means I have another opportunity somewhere. And so you have to pivot and go in a different direction when you need to. Be ready to do that.
I love that. That's amazing, Yolanda. And once again, thank you for sharing your story there, that how you had to literally make a change in your life, that pivot, a physical movement to be able to get where you are now. So
Yes.
that's pretty amazing, and being flexible with that. And once again, your corporate learnings, those lessons learned
Yes.
came back in to help you. That's
Yes.
fantastic. And so
Yes.
now the third one is prayer, you mentioned.
It's prayer. And when I think of prayer, I don't think of it in the religious sense that most people probably look at it as. I've had to incorporate it into my whole life is a prayer, walking, breathing. And it's my connection, my personal connection to God, as far as, but that connection I have to sit still at times and think, and just kind of like breathe in, okay, what am I missing? And wait for that hunch or that still small voice and go, okay, all right. And I write a lot and I journal a lot and I get my answers a lot that way. So for me, it's not as conventional as someone says, oh, well, what are you? Are you out on your deck with a shawl and, just pray? I don't have time to do that. So I call it, I'm normally in motion, as far as meditating and praying and connecting and listening for what I need to do, or getting strength. I'll just breathe out, I need strength.
Right.
Like that, something like that. So it's just that those are the three things that for me is patience, being able to pivot, and don't forget to, as far as prayer life, have a spiritual connection that you can rely upon, so that'll give you strength to make the decisions that you need to make.
Right. Well, that's great, Yolanda. How I like the way you put it together in like the 3 Ps, right? Because we know from corporate America, it's always good to put them in threes.
Oh, yes.
And good to give them some type of, like the first letter being the P. So remember those 3 Ps. So patience, pivot, and prayer. Fantastic.
Yes.
To give a foundation. And you're very similar in the sense that I also take a holistic approach to business. I truly believe that it starts from the inside out, because you can't be an entrepreneur if you don't work on yourself first, and you can't help anybody else until you help yourself first. So I think that's why we've always connected so well, is back in corporate America, and even now, continue that, because it truly does start with us. And as you mentioned before, even in your classes, how you don't have people look at others or don't compare yourself. And that's key, because we're all unique. And I mentioned something to people all the time about DNA. We are all unique. We have our own unique DNA. We're our own person. So it doesn't matter about the competition, because nobody can be us. And that's that's what it ties down to. So so it's great here. I love this, Yolanda, how you've really captured your lessons learned into the 3 Ps. And I know you'll be able to share those with others, so that others can also make a pivot in their life as well, making that positive impact. So you've been there, you've done that, and you continue to do it. So I encourage you, and I definitely commend you for doing that, and encourage you to continue moving forward. And thank you for taking the time today with myself, being here with me, and then also with all those listening in, being able to learn from you, and you leaving that positive impact on other individuals. So thank you so much, Yolanda. Before we close out, you have any closing words you want to share with me, or any of the group, any of the people listening?
I just want to say briefly that our relationship is an excellent example of how we were back here, and I hate to say 20 years ago, how we connected in one organization. And then our lives, went all different places, but still we grew, and then we came back again. It's just this you can't make this up.
No,
there's no coincidence that we had a relationship so many years ago, and we still continue to have that. That just tells me that the seeds that we planted in were good.
That's right.
They're continuing to grow. And and I'm learning from you. I'm so proud of you. And you motivate me. You've always been that way.
Well,
and so and I love you, and I'm grateful for you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Yolanda. I really appreciate that. That touches my heart very, very much. Thank you so much. And I'm putting this down and it'll be transcribed. One day you and I will be on the same stage, Yolanda. We'll
Come
be able
on.
to share our messages together. So I just want you
Yes,
to know
ma'am.
that. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. We got this. We got this. So
Yes.
thank you so much for being here with me today, Legacy and Me podcast. And this is all about each of us sharing our own unique story and helping other individuals to achieve their goals that they establish for themselves. So we're here to help each other out. Right now, there's a phrase out there that's so true, and it really touches each of our lives. Collaboration trumps competition. It's all about collaborating. It's not competition.
Yes.
It's collaboration. So Yolanda,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you,
So
Cindy.
everybody listening in, we sign off as Cynthia Gallardo, your favorite legacy lady, and Yolanda Barnes, the artist. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.